Please welcome Martin Leblanc, Chief Experience Officer of Magnific.
Hi guys, are you excited? So before we see the short film, I'm going to go through sort of like a hands-on demo of how agents work and how flows work. And we're going to see sort of like how you build a project like that with a team, with a full script and everything. I have pre-recorded the demo, and I'm going to go through all the steps. So, because when you work with video, of course, it takes a long time to generate the videos, and we can't wait for that. So, for the sake of like you understanding like what the product can do, I have pre-recorded and I just sped up all the process of generation. But I'm going to take it like one step at a time and explain everything in details. So as Joaquin mentioned, we have integration with Claude. So I'm going to show Claude, but it also works with ChatGPT, and we'll have more third-party apps included. But I'm going to show you sort of like just the process here. So for example, here we are starting a chat in Claude. We have connected the Magnific MCP. And the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating this project. And I'm just going to ask it to create a project in Magnific, including a set of folders that I need for this film project, for example, for characters, locations, and so on. So it's now creating my project, setting up all the folders in the whole structure. And even if a project is one call and setting up the folders is the second call, the power of agents is that it can do multiple steps. So you can just say in natural language, set this up, and then it will figure out all the different steps. So that's step number one. So now we have sort of like a foundation. Now you can see here, for example, this is on Magnific. So you have basically like the web UI is fully synchronized with what you're seeing in Claude. That also means that if you have team members who don't want to use Claude or agents, they still see everything that the agent is doing, right? So it's fully synchronized real time. I can now invite my teammates to this project so we can all collaborate on the same project. And I think personally, I'm also, a creator myself. I really don't like the idea that when we're working with AI, that it's like a single-player thing. It's like a one-person company and so on. It's not exciting for me. I think like the really creative ideas comes when you have multiple people working together and you bounce ideas off each other. So we're also building this product with the mindset that we want people to collaborate and get creative together. The next step here is this is really interesting because we have a script for this short film. And I can now start building the context. So everything we're going to work on from here, I'm providing the script. This is like a Word file. I'm just going to give that to the agent. So it's going to read the full script of the story and I'm asking it to break down into the different parts. So we're kind of creating this kind of creative Bible. Like, who are the characters? What are the locations? What's the storyline? So it now has the full context of this short film we're going to make. And what this does is that it now creates a foundation. So every time we're going to create images and so on, and it's building my prompts, it's now going to understand like how the characters look, what are the time we are at, and so on. So it has the full context of the film. I'm now providing this into Claude. So now it's like in the context of just this chat. But let's say I want to have the context be aware, be shared with the whole team. I can also go into Magnific and then create what we call a custom agent. So a custom agent is an agent that you can customize for a project. And then, for example, here, I'm just like building an agent specifically for this short film. I'm giving it maybe you can put in a system prompt. So you can say, whenever you are generating video, always use happy horse. Whenever you generate video, always use sea dance. So you can pick like specific models. So everything is like controlled for that specific project. Also here, I'm also attaching a file. We call this the knowledge or knowledge base. And then I'm adding here like the same script. So it's like the full love story, and I can just save that file. So now in that project, whenever people are working with agents, they will always like use use that script as the context. So now I'm like, I can set that project up, I can give it the script, and now every team member who's joining, they already have that great starting point. Next up, so I want to start like creating like the first picture. I want to start creating these characters. So I'm asking for the first person whose name is Julia, And we need her in 2 different versions. We need her in a young version and an older version. I'll show you how that's going to look. So this is the first version of her. So I'm just asking for the character and not providing all the specifics about how she looks. It's going to look into the script and then figure out roughly how this character should look. So it's now like I'm not specifically prompting, I'm just more asking for that character. So in the story, the concept of the story is that there are some time jumps. So you see the characters in 78 and then many years later. So we have the same characters in 2 different versions. So this is the young version of Julia, which is the first character. When it's generated, let's say we're asking here for a character. As you might know, there's like a lot of difference between image models. Some image models are very creative, and some other models are more like very strict. Like whatever you're prompting is giving you that. So sometimes you want randomness, and whenever you are asking for an image here, what we build is that we've also given not only the list of image models that are there, but we also provide information to the agent about what the models are good at. So if you're asking for a character and you say, like, give me some options, we're going to hit one image model that is more creative. So in this case, it's hitting Uni1 instead of Nana Banana. But then in another case here, let's say, so we now have the young version of Julia, and we want also an older version of her. It now knows that, OK, I need to do some image editing, and now it's switching to Nana Banana Pro instead. Right? So it's intelligent in that way. And I personally I'm really excited about all the different models that are coming out and so on, but I think for the average person who's working on creative projects, you don't really want to learn about every single model all the time, right? Just let the agent choose it for you. So now here, so let's say I'm not happy about this specific image that I'm getting. What do? I can now jump into, I'm now switching to the Magnific UI, where I also have the agent in a sidebar. I can then go to Spaces, and then I can ask the agent to, hey, create that workflow of, creating versions of this girl. And you can see now the little cursor. So the agent's actually controlling the cursor in Spaces, and it's building the workflow out. And I can also go in with my cursor and then move things around. But you can basically see that the agent is like a little helper that is building out the workflow in real time. So I can also jump into Spaces, and now I have the full control of all the prompts and so on. It's not going to run the workflow because we don't want you to waste credits. So you have to always just confirm, just say go, and then it will run the workflow. But it's a good example of how you can jump back and forth between the conversation and then into Spaces. So now we have a version where we have the old and young version, and let's say we want to build a reusable workflow. So we have 2 characters that both needs to be a young version and an old version. And so we have this kind of aging process where we want to have that to be very much the same. So what I can do is that I can go into the chat and say, hey, build that workflow for the aging of the character. And then from Claude, it's creating the workflow, and then I can click the link, and then I'm into Spaces. And then I have this workflow that is built for changing the name or the age of the characters. So we have 2 characters where we want to have those that aging process. What I'm asking for here is to say, I'm asking the agent to say, OK, this workflow, bundle that as a flow. So flow is the name of a reusable workflow. And whenever you're defining a flow, it becomes an endpoint in the MCP. So that means that whatever is exposed into Claude and any third-party tools is fully customizable. So let's say we have this it's called, I think, character generator flow. I want my whole team to use that one. Whenever you're going to age a character in this story, hit that flow. So now we have saved that. You can see a little note here. We can also put it in Spaces and use it. So here I asked the agent to create that flow. You can also do it manually. So in this case, this is sort of if I click flow at the top of the screen in Spaces, it opens this UI. The yellow nodes are the input nodes, and the green ones are the output. So you can just take any Spaces workflow and say, over here, this is the input, and this is output. So whenever you want to run that flow, you need to just provide whatever is input, and then it's going to return the output. So here, I'm back in Claude and then saying, using the generator, the character generator flow, create that kind of like agent process for the next character, which is called Terra. So you can see now it's returning the initial image and then also the aged version. So now we have this kind of like very controlled version of how, like, specific prompts, specific models that is always going to be repeated in the same way. So now that we have the two characters in place, I would like to create just a previous version. I would like to see if, like, okay, this concept of changing time and so on, does it actually work? So I'm just going to ask it, hey, why don't you create, like, two different scenes using CDance, 15 seconds, and then also using the video combiner tool to put them together, maybe also add a little bit of music, just to get like a quick version of what it's going to look like. So just put all those steps into the prompt, and then I hit generate. So now it's going to figure out, okay, what do I need to do in order to create the videos? It's going to check, okay, CDance, yeah, it's actually allowing me to do everything that I'm asking it for. And then it's going to plan, okay, when I'm done with those two videos, going to combine them and also going to add some background music. So it's now planning everything. You can also see it's going to putting it into a video folder. It's checking that it has all the different 4 images. It needs like the 2 characters in young version and 2 characters in the old versions. And then I'm getting, this is the first video, and then it's going to generate the second video. And once it has those 2 videos, it's combining them and adding the music. So it's actually doing all these different steps, right? So a really quick way to just get out like a previous version for showing the team. So that's sort of like the basics of the demo. I think there's so much potential in this. I mean, you can have a really hard time wrapping my head around all the possibilities. We can, if you just consider, like, for example, in Claude, you can also trigger any workflow at a given time. You can also integrate, have it read information from the browser and putting that into your workflows and so on. So, but I think this demo really shows sort of like just how much you can control the output. You can jump back and forth to spaces. You can, integrate a full context of whatever project you're working on. So, just summarizing, the agents we're launching allows you to do multi-step. It has all the memory about the context. We have the spaces integration. The MCP allows you to use all the third-party tools. Claude and ChatGPT is available now. And Flows is a way for you to bundle and customize what's in the MCP and make Spaces workflows repeatable and shareable. Cool. So why don't we watch the finished short film? And I hope, so we have a creative person from Magnific, Miriam. She's been the leading person here. Otherwise, is Miriam here? Somewhere, let's give her a hand. But we have some really amazing people working on this video, and I hope you'll like it.
Y fuego, no sé qué vamos a hacer. tú y yo, tú y yo. Te vaya, dime que esto no es un cuento, dime que no estoy soñando, dime que esto es de verdad. Yo te estoy amando, me estás amando, tú aún no lo entiendo, no te estoy amando, yo me estás amando, aún no lo entiendo, no, que se pueda amar así.
Well, that's beautiful, right? Great. All right. Ending with, I think it's time for you to make it magnific. Right?